Okay, so welcome back. First order of business. We want to take our textures as they are right now. Obviously, it's not done, and export them out into Maya and just see where we stand, how things look rendered in Arnold. So, the way that I'm going to do that is to come here to export textures under File, and I'm running. Let's see, what version is this? 2020.1.2, which is 6.1.2. Okay, so that right now is the latest version. So I know they redesigned some of the export stuff. I don't think it was this version, but maybe the version before. So the version that I was using in the last substance tutorial I did not look like this. So this is going to be a little bit different here. Okay, so first thing we got to do is we got to set your directory and then pick a preset here. And the one I'm using is Arnold UDIM because I'm rendering in Arnold and I'm using UDIMs right there. Now this one is from cache, but if you were doing it fresh, you would just come up here, Arnold UDIM AI standard. Okay, I like to export TIFFs, but there's all kinds of formats here, and I'm working 8 bits. I'm not exporting my height maps because I'm not doing any displacement. If you were doing displacement, then I would recommend, at least for the displacement, for the height map export, that you do that as an EXR at 32 bits. But since we're not doing any of that displacement stuff, we're just going to stick to TIFFs at 8 bits. And then the size is 4K because that is the final size that I want. By default, it's set to based on each texture set's size. So whatever you're working at in Maya, in Substance. So if I go into here, it's a 2K, and you can change this per texture set. So if I increase, if I could drop this one down to 256, and that'll just do it for that one. And you can see that the textures are pretty bad now. If I go to 1002, you'll see that it's still at 2K. So you can adjust those separately. So I'm going to bring this back to 2K here. So 2K is my working resolution in the viewport, but for final output, I want to export at 4K. So I'll make sure I set that to 4K. So once you have that set, now you can set options per texture set, and you can tell it which things to output per texture set. Like if you got an emissive in one of your texture sets, you got an emission, a light emission going on, you could have an emissive pass here that you don't have in any of the others, so you can turn it off in the other ones. Right now I'm going to leave everything as is. Going to go to output templates and then go to Arnold UDIM AI standard, and it's going to tell you exactly what it's going to output. Okay, those are the exports. Now I'd set this before, but what I do is, since I don't need an emissive pass here, I can kill this. So get rid of that. I don't need a height map, so I'm going to get rid of that. Now I don't need to do that. I can simply come into each one and uncheck all these, but I just do it this way. And then now it's using, here, let me, when does this reset? Okay. So actually, no, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to use the one. So anytime you've used it before, it's going to tell you AI standard UDIM, Arnold UDIM AI standard from cache. So it's remembering the last thing that you did. And what I had done back then was I removed these two. And then I also changed this value here because it was giving me naming convention that I didn't like. So mesh is going to be, it's going to put the file name, the OBJ file that you imported is going to be put in as the mesh here. So all I did was I just changed this to rifle in here, and I did it for all of these. and then you get rifle as a prefix to all of these. So rifle base color dot, then the UDIM number. And this is very important that the last thing in the name is the UDIM number. That's how it's going to know where to assign these textures per UDIM. Okay, so that's very important. And you get this automatically if you're using that preset. If you're not using UDIMs, then you just want the standard Arnold AI standard. But if you are using UDIMs, you need to have this so that it knows to put the texture set number at the end of the name. Okay, so that's very important. So let me go ahead and just reset my save path here. And let's see. Okay, so I'm going to put it in that folder at 4K. Just look at my exports here. I don't have any height and I don't have any emissive because I turned those off. Okay, so once I have that, everything looks okay. It's going to do, you can see there's 4 maps per texture set. And I think I have a total of 12 texture sets. So you can see just how many texture maps we have. And these are 4K, so things can get a little hairy. But the nice thing is that if, for example, if you got a texture set that does not need to be at 4K, you can simply come in here and change the size for that one. So they don't all have to be the same size. You can have different sizes for different things. I'm just going to leave all of them at 4K for now. This is just a test anyway. So once we have that, then the other thing, by the way, is Substance defaults the metallic pass calls it metalness, and that's fine, it'll work. But I will change this to metallic, and you'll see why when we get into Maya. But if you do that, it's just going to speed up your workflow a little bit. So if you don't, it's not a big deal. You're just going to have to link that up manually. But if you do set it to metallic instead of metalness, then it's going to recognize it immediately and set it for you. So it's going to go in here. You see that it says metallic and not metalness. Okay, so we got base color, metallic, roughness, and normal. For this example, this is what I'm going to use here. So if I then just make sure that my folder, not that one. Okay, let's export. And it might take a minute here because, again, I'm exporting 12 UDIMs worth of stuff at 4 maps per. So it'll take a little bit. So let's let that go. And you can see, where to go? Here. You can see that it's writing these images to disk, and there's a lot of them. Okay, so all the metallics for each UDIM and so on and so forth. So my substance file has actually grown in size. It is now almost 13 gigs in size. Not really sure when that happened, but it was about 6, almost 7. Now it's almost 13. So it is getting bigger. Okay, so we have everything exported, and it's going to tell you what it exported. Okay, and you can save your settings if you want. So 48 textures that were made here. So now we can go back here into Maya. So now I have the rifle here. What I'm going to do, and this is a nice feature that I think just came in with this latest version of Maya. And let me get my face out of your way here. So I'll put that there for now. there's that substance menu here. If you don't have it, I believe you can go into your settings and preferences, go to plugin manager, and scroll down until you get to here. So substance.mll, substance Maya, and substance workflow. Just turn all those on and it should be there. But it should be there by default. But in case it isn't, this is where you can come in here and turn it on. Okay, so under substance, we want to go to apply workflow to maps. And this is a really cool feature that I like here. So hit that and you can plug in those passes. Now you can do them one by one. Just click on the folder, go get the map, and it'll come in there and just do all the ones that you have. But if you do select multiple maps, all I need to do is select all the 1001s, and there should be 4 of them, and you'll see that it fills these in automatically. And this is the reason why I told you to change it to metallic and not metalness, because this will recognize it and input it for you. If you leave it named metalness, what's going to happen is it's not going to recognize it, so you're going to have to do this one manually. Now, obviously, that's not a big deal. You just do it real quick and it'll work. But if you want to just speed things up just a little bit, that's the way to do it. Okay, so those are the 4 maps that we exported. We don't have occlusion, height, or emissive. So I'm going to hit apply. And what happens if we come in here in the Hypershade is that it creates the node network for you, which is very convenient and very quick. Before you had to do this yourself. Okay, again, not a big deal. It's very quick to set up nodes here, but this does it for you. It really speeds up the workflow. And I like that it uses a single place 2D texture node for the whole network, which makes sense, right? So if you change anything in here, it's going to propagate through all the different parts of this node network. Okay, now one thing I like to do, and this might be just an OCD thing for me, the bump 2D node here, I like to replace that with an AI normal map. So probably don't have to, but I like to use the Arnold specific normal map node here. So I'll go from out color to input and then out value to normal camera, and I can delete this guy here. I just like, it seems to work better. You can increase the strength. If you want to boost your normal map strength, you can just increase your strength right there. So I kind of like how that works. You don't have to do that. It's not a requirement. Okay, then the next thing you want to do, right now this is loaded up only the 1001s, right? It's not seeing this as a UDIM. So you got to select one of these file nodes here and come here to UV tiling mode and turn on UDIM Mari. Okay, you're going to see it says 12 tiles found because I have 12 tiles. And then we got to do it in all of these different file nodes. Okay, and then what you'll notice is for things like your normal, it has been set to raw, which it should be. See, all these are all things you'd have had to remember to do yourself. Anytime you have a normal map, you want to set that to raw. Anytime you have your metallic or roughness, you want to make sure they're also set to raw, but then also make sure that alpha's luminance is turned on for those. Okay, so this has been already done for you, which is really nice. One thing it should do that it didn't do is I would turn on ignore color space file rules. Then you won't get this. Let me make sure you can see that. Yeah, you won't get this weird warning down here. So I'm just going to go through all of these and just set that. Okay. So all of them now have the tiles read in. You see there's a generate preview button here. I'm going to do it on the base color just so I can see the base color in the viewport. So I'm going to hit generate preview and then that should be good to go. Notice that the base color is not raw. It is still sRGB as it should be. So this is nice. It's done a lot of the work for me. If you're setting up doing a lot of texture work, this is a very convenient way to really speed you up because you're not sitting there having to, relink everything and, connect nodes and stuff, it's all pretty much done for you. Okay, so now that that is set, and we could call, we can name this guy here rifle shader, or whatever you want to name it. And what I like to do is take the shader name and also put it in the shading group node with an SG on the end. So rifle shader, capital S, capital G for shading group. Okay, so let's move this off to the side here. Oh, let's move it here. And I'm just going to select all the parts of this rifle that are going to have that shader, which is pretty much all this stuff right here. Okay, now with that selected, I can right click on it, or I could just simply come in here and right click on here and assign material to viewport selection. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Okay, I'm going to hit 6 in the viewport to turn on my textures, and you can see now we have our color map showing in there. So everything has the shader now put on. It's reading from the UDIMs as expected. And if I select all the parts of my rifle here, these are the UDIMs. And what am I missing? I'm missing the light as well. So there's the light. So 12 of them. It's reading them perfectly. I did not attach a shader to the light, so let's go ahead and just assign as existing material, rifle shader, and now we have it on the light as well. Okay, so very, very nice, quick workflow for attaching your textures is to use that substance, apply workflow to maps. Very, very useful. Okay, so now we have our textures on there. Looks like everything is working. So let's do a test render. I'm just going to go to Arnold lights. And honestly, these days I just use Skydome lights because they're so convenient, so easy to get good lighting without even trying really. So let's go ahead and go in the attribute editor, color, file, and then go pick the HDR map here. Where is it? Let's see. What do I want here? Again, I get my HDR maps from HDRI Haven. It's pretty much the go-to place these days. So, I don't know. Urban Street. Let's try that. Why not? Okay. So we're in the middle of a street here. We'll just use that. So find a nice angle and let's go to Arnold. I'm going to open the render view here. And that first render might take a second here to get going. So I'm just going to turn on the IPR renderer and give it a second to think and get going. Hopefully sometime today would be nice. Okay, it has to convert all your textures to .tx files, so that's usually the first thing that it has to do when you plug in new textures, and then it'll start to render. All right, so let's see here. Let's just enlarge this a little bit. Actually, so we can see what is going on here. Everything is where it should be. And uh-oh, my render window has stopped responding. I hope I'm not about to crash, which is a very real possibility with Maya, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do here, right now it's just stuck at 81%. So let me stop it. And while that's stopping, at least we can see what's going on here. Everything is where it should be. Hit escape a couple times here. The viewport is responsive. It's just this window. What if I close it? There we go. So let's try that again. Now, usually I don't like to just go to Arnold and render. I like to open the window first and then hit the, I find that, I don't know, it seems a little faster that way. Maybe I'm just imagining it, but let's come in on some of these details here. So you can see the chipped away paints, you know, right in there. You can see that metal shining beneath that, which is nice. And let me select my HDR map here, or my HDR sphere, and I'm just going to rotate it in the Y. I'm just going to activate rotate Y, then I'm going to middle mouse click in the viewport, and I'm just going to shift it till the sunlight is on this side of the gun here. Okay, so this is actually looking pretty good. Now it's still, you know, things are still a little bit subtle. But as we, you know, build up our texture, add some dirt. But I'm really liking some of this chipped away dirt, paint stuff here. This looks really nice. If you hit it with just the right amount of lighting, it looks pretty good. This again here is just looking a little too gray to me. So we may need to bring that down just a hair. Let's look in here. And I can see that normal map detail in there, so that is working. You can see the bumpiness right there. I'm just looking at my recording here to make sure you can actually see that. Looks like you can. So you can see that bumpiness that we put in there from that grainy plastic shader. And we could see some of that carbon fouling here. You see how it's shiny over here, but not so much over here. I may need to darken that a little bit. It's coming off gray, but it could be a result of the lighting setup here. So it's kind of hard to tell there. But everything is looking actually pretty good. If we come in on our stock here, and we can see that graininess. Let's look at it from this angle. Yep, we can see the graininess of the plastic right there. So overall, this is looking pretty good. Let's look at our safety selector here. Yeah, we can see that metal shining through there, which is pretty nice. And just looking at the receiver itself, you can see that there's detail there. Now, the receiver itself, just if you zoom out a little bit, you sort of lose that because it is so subtle, but that's okay. Got some good chipping away of paint. So, you know, I'm not mad at anything here. I think we're off to a good start here. Some little things I want to do, like darken this a little bit. Maybe darken that soot, that carbon buildup on there. But it's actually looking pretty good. Okay, I don't know if I want to keep this chrome here or if I want to make it black so it blends in a little bit more. Right now it's kind of sticking out a little too much. So I don't know. Maybe I'll leave it. Maybe I won't. We'll see. Okay. But things transfer over from Substance to Arnold very, very well. I know you know, like we did. I did do some iRay renders in Substance, but it's important to test this in whatever your final render solution is going to be. You want to test it there first to make sure things are looking the way that you want, because iRay is going to be slightly different. So, and then the other thing, right now I just picked a random HDR here, this street scene. If you have an HDR, say you're building this for a project and you have an HDR that you're going to be lighting with, I would use that HDR both in Maya and in Substance, because then you can really get an accurate sense of what the lighting is going to be. For me here, I don't have a predetermined lighting, so I'm going to, as I do more tests, I'm going to test it under different lighting conditions here. So, you know, in that vein here, let's go ahead and I'm going to add a different HDR map here. So I don't know, Portland landing pad. Okay, this one is kind of subdued. I think it's a cloudy sky, so let's try that. The sun is not so bright. Or maybe it is, I don't know. So let's run this IPR here. And you can save versions. I should have saved that one just to compare, but it's all right. So this one is, the lighting seems more sort of diffused. And I think I'm liking it. That's the nice thing about PBR materials, is they're designed to work and look good under any lighting conditions. So you don't necessarily have to do tweaks depending on your lighting. It should just work because they're physically accurate. Or so yeah, everything still looks good here. Let's come in on our site here. I don't know if you can hear it, but my computer is yelling at me. Nah, but it's fine though. It can handle this. This is pretty fast in how it renders this. You can see it renders the whole frame in 3 seconds, more or less. So at these settings, which is what are we at? 3222. So if we look, so I'm going to stop this here. If we go in the render settings here and go to Arnold Renderer, these are the default quality settings. And you can see they're not bad. It's noisy. I mean, you're going to have to turn up your samples for final render. And right now my render resolution is only 540, so 960 by 540. If I wanted to do, say, an HD 1080, and let's see how long that takes. So let's run it again. So it's going to initialize the render, and it's going to run through. So this will take a few more seconds. And it's sitting at 100. So that took about 15. So, and that was just increasing resolution. If I also increase my samples, then things will just keep going up and up and up. Okay, and this is unsmooth geo, which likely it's going to stay unsmooth. If I was this close to this, then I will probably smooth things like this, you know, just to get rid of some of this faceting here. But for the most part, it's going to stay unsmooth. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm liking what we're getting here. So we can then make those few tweaks, darken this, maybe darken that carbon buildup there, and let's go from there. Okay, so let's go back to old substance here. So I like that HDR map there. Let's see if I can find it in my, what was it called? Just because it's sort of bright from every direction. There is a sunlight. You can see there's a shadow, but it's kind of bright from both sides of the gun, which I like. So this is the Portland landing pad. And let's see, did I load it in here? Let me see. No, I don't think I did. Now I got to remember how to. Did I not load it? No. All right. Rather than waste your time with that, I will put it in later. Let's try this one. What does this look like? Wow, that really brightens everything. Let's see what that looks like. So we can turn on environment opacity and then reduce the blur. So this is just outside a building here. And we could turn down the exposure. Yeah, it's not bad, I guess. Okay. Which other one? We can try one of the studio lighting setups here. So this one looks like It's just a studio style setup. Or what is this one? Yeah, it's too much yellow in there. So I'm just going to go back to the default one because that seems to be, it's called Panorama. Okay, so that's our default. I'm going to turn it off, maybe blur it a little bit. Call it good. Okay, so this guy, Control Shift right click, will take us to its texture set. And what do we want here? Is it plastic that we want? Just wait for this to load up here. So it's got to update. All right. Okay. So that was plastic. Was the cord? Was it rubber? Okay. So it was rubber. So let's click on that. Come down here and just drop this down further. Okay. We want it to be close to black, but not all the way black. Okay. So that's what we have. Now with this light here, you know, going back and forth on this, I don't like the anodized look. I think I prefer the paints. So that's a pretty easy fix. So Control Shift right click on it and let's go to that. Did it know? Oh, it is on this UV set. So, or texture set. Where are we? Okay, so FDE metal. Let's open this up, and right here, I'm just gonna take off metallic, and it's just gonna be paint. And let's add some height. So 0.025, or maybe not so much. Let's go 0.015. Okay, it's just a personal preference thing. And it's just keeps making me think it's too light. So let's just darken it a hair. So something like that. Or I might just go to black. Let's try that. I really have to turn down some of that. All right, so let's go in the mask, and okay, so that one is a pretty big one there. So let's go in that mask and increase this while dropping this one. That's gonna really cut down on that damage. And then go in the metal edge wear, drop the wear level. Okay, so it's damaged, but it's not as bad. It might still be too much, honestly. So let's see, global balance. Okay. I want to come back here and let's add a little bit more shine to it by dropping our roughness. There we go. Okay. I think I like that better. I don't know. It was bugging me. So I think I like it better as a black light. Okay. And I like this piece of damage here. So if the gun was ever dropped on its side, that would have caused that. Kind of makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to go with that. May change my mind again later, but you know how that goes. Now that we're back in substance, let me move myself over. All right. Just got to remember that that's up there. Okay, so yes, the carbon buildup here. Actually, before I do that, I need to rename some stuff here because it's not FDE anymore. It's black. And call this black paint. Okay. So let's go into the flash hider here. And we want our carbon. And we want to just drop this down as well. There we go. That should look better. All right. I think we're on to something here. Now, just looking at some of the rifle setups, I mean, you know, there's so many ways to set this up. Sometimes this mounting block here is black, so I might try that. I want to see what that'll look like. So Control Shift and right click, and this is the FDE parts. Yeah. So what I can do is just come into the mask here, hit 4, and this needs to be at 0. So if I hit X, it's going to be at 0, and I can make sure that I'm on mesh and deselect this piece. Okay, so that worked. And do I have any black metal here? No. So let me make a black metal. And just for speed, I'm gonna take the steel rust that we used before and mask that. So black mask, and select that guy. Then go back into steel shader. I don't really, maybe I do want a little bit of rust. Okay, metal color, let's drop it lower, blacker. So maybe we'll see. Maybe too dark. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll leave it that dark because it seems like Arnold is going to make it look brighter than it is. So okay, so that's the nice thing about this is you can mix and match stuff, change your mind, you know, do whatever you want. All right. And my flashlight here, that black doesn't seem black enough. So let's go down a little bit more. Yeah, here we go. And these things. So what do we, so that's the steel on there. All right, you know what? I'm gonna leave it for right now. Okay. So now these parts here, I don't know, they've been bugging me a little bit. Let's see. Where are they? Metal parts, yeah. This metal, I don't like this metal color. Oh, let's go in there. So it's still way too blue. So I'm just gonna bring it into the gray here. And I think I like that better. It was just, that blue was just not sitting well with me. So let's increase our roughness a little bit here. Okay. I hit F1 to bring up our UV editor here. So what I want to do is this needs to have sort of ridges going across there. This is the, what do they call that? The bolt release, I think. and it's got ridges going across there because you kind of have to push it with your thumb or slap it with your palm, and that's meant for grip. So I don't want to model those in there, so I figured I'd texture them in. So now I want to go ahead and do that. So what I might actually do, let me think here. Well, yeah, I can use these. So this is it right here. So let's go in the alphas and see if there's something that we can use that'll give us that effect. Okay, so we got some lines here. Let me see. Do we have... Well, what I'm going to do is make a standard layer right here. And we have that alpha, so you can see it there. So the nice thing is that you can adjust. Oh, this is the width, so I want to go... I need to shrink it down. I need these to be very thin. So can I go over? No, so it's only going to let me... Well, let's see. So if I come here and all I don't want color, I don't want roughness, metallic. All I want to do is the height. So if I go, no, 0.1 and click right there, you can see what it did, but it went all the way around, which I don't want. So what we need to do is tell it, where is that? Alignment should be UV. So if I just click it here, you see that it only happens on that UV slot. Now, they're not as thin as I want. And so instead of doing it as an alpha, what I could try to do, so let's close that, is use it as a stencil. And then, what is the shortcut? S shrinks things down. That rotates. Oh no, what do I do? Let's redo this layer. So S and left mouse button will rotate, and if you hold down shift, it'll snap. S and middle mouse button will move it, and S and right mouse button will scale it. So it's like Maya. And then what we can do is, so we get the width is fine. Okay, so what we can do is come up here to, where's the, gotta remember how to do this. Tiling, here we go. Could not figure out what it was. So we want to, let's turn on H and V tiling now. Question is, can we, there we go. That's what I want. What is bending? Oh, you can actually bend them. Stop. When I do undo, it just undoes the adding of the layer. So let's take off our bending. Wish I could make it thinner. Let me just check down here, make sure we don't have another option here. So what I don't like is this gap between the tiles. So I think what would be vertical tiling. Yeah, that's not changing the gap between them. I wish I could overshoot the number of lines, but so let me go H and V tiling and then hold down S and go smaller. So I can get them smaller that way, but you can see those thick lines between them are going to be a problem. Which, I could call it stylized. I'm sure there's a way to do this that I'm just not seeing. But for right now, we'll just go with it as is. So then I can... So my brush here, what do I want? I want just a soft brush. So I'll have an alpha brush. I just want a circle, soft circle. Where is the circle? Come on. No, was that it? That's a weird edge on that. Well, let's see if it'll work. So I'm going to just turn this down and see what we get. So we get something like that. I'm not sure I'm loving that. So I may have to make my own in Photoshop or something and then bring it in here. What about this minus sign here? So let's go in here, and instead of that, I'm going to put this minus sign. I wonder if I can tile that. So it does not really have any, it just inverts. I thought if I could squeeze those together, so that's not going to work either. I'm sure you substance gurus right out there are yelling right now, do it like this. I know. Could use a barcode. Wait, you know what? Let's see. No, I don't want it in an alpha. I want it in the stencil. And can I even them out is the question. Yeah, so it's just kind of random. Would be nice if I could even them out. But doesn't look like I can, so yeah, you know what? I'm probably just spending way too much time on this. So maybe if I just use those bars again and I'll put those in an alpha, enlarge it. Maybe I just call that good. It gets the job done. It's not exact, but so what? Okay. Guess you got to think about how important it is to get it perfect. In my case, I don't feel like it is, so I'm going to go with that. Otherwise, I'll be here all day. Just call this ridges or something. So these are the metal parts right here. So again, I might just group this. Control G. Let's go back to materials. Put our steel rough at the bottom. Add a black mask here. Do a generator and a metal edge wear. And invert it. Where are you? Invert. And then we need to tone it down. That's ridiculous. Drop the curvature weight. That seems to be the one. Okay. So we got a little bit of wear. Maybe drop the wear level as well. Because this thing gets, if you use your rifle a lot, that thing's going to get slapped a lot. Every time you run out of ammo, the bolt locks to the rear, and then you load in your new magazine, and then you hit that button to get it to chamber the next round and be ready to shoot again. So you probably would get quite a bit of scratching on there. Maybe. All right. So our dust cover here is part of that group. I think I'm going to remove it from this group and just make it out of its own metal. So before I do that, let me name this. What do we want to name this? Bolt release group. I'm going to save so this thing doesn't save a second 12 gig file for me. Oh, it did already. Never mind. So yeah, my saves are probably going to start taking quite a while here. There we go. All right, so from this group here, actually what I'm going to do, no, that wasn't here, that was here. So, what is in this group? Is it just, oh, okay. Oh, I was actually in a mask already. Okay, so I'm going to take the mask off this top group because now I've got nested groups. So I'm going to remove this mask and then put one on here. Add a black mask. I want this guy and this. There we go. Make sure I didn't select too much here. So the trigger and the dust cover I'll put on a different metal. So I think that'll work. And then actually, you know what? I'm going to add this guy here, this screw. There. And then these here as well. Okay. I think that should be good. Oh, I missed one. There we go. So there's a little bit more wear on these. And this is actually appropriate right here. This is a screw here because, you know, sticking that Phillips head in there will definitely scratch it up like that. So that's kind of nice. And these are just sort of random damage. Might be a little much, but I kind of like it. I forgot this piece. And then this piece, although this piece I don't think I want to be very damaged. And yeah, that's insane. So let's go in here and add a paint layer. And let me put on my tablet glove here. And we're in our paint layer. Let's hit 1. And let's scale our brush down. Maybe get a dirt brush. And nope. X. Why aren't you working? Increase our flow. Still not working. How come it worked here? Oh, you know what? I'm on the wrong layer. Should be here. And then add a paint layer. Yeah, there we go. So hit X. Just gotta bring this back. Don't really need it to be all beat up like that. Because if your sight aperture, I think they call it, if that is getting beat up, then you're just not treating your rifle very well. So this should be in pretty good shape. Okay. All right. So now we need another metal. So I'm going to close this one. So we got our metal parts folder, and then inside of that we have another group. Right, so we got a group in a group. So I'm going to make another group inside of this one here. Put it inside the metal parts, and we'll call this dust cover group. And inside of there, I'm going to put a fill layer. Oh, that didn't go in. There we go. And for this group, I'm going to put a black mask and then hit 4. And we're going to select the, oh, you know what? I need to make this a color so I could actually see what's going on. So that did work. And also this metal rod here. Okay. And then for this metal, it's going to be a little grayer. And we're going to set our metallic to all the way. And then we can put in the roughness, we can throw some grunge in there. Just to dirty it up. I don't know. What about this one? Yikes, no. This one? That's crazy. Maybe this one. I want something, so if I use, see how shiny that gets if I use a map that's pretty dark? So I need a map that's pretty light. It's just there's too much detail there. So what if I take that and then start to, so you start to tile it and you start to see patterns, then you don't want that. I want something that's kind of subtle. Oh, that's the one I had before. How about you? Cracked concrete. No. Nope. Why do I keep getting that same one? What's this one? And you know, you can mess with these a little bit to try to, you can invert it. Whoa, I'm not sure what that's all about. Did we try the? Yep, we did try that one. Wow, that is kind of insane. Okay, so that's really matte. It's too much contrast, I think. What about this guy? That's kind of... Okay, so maybe something like that. Something subtle. I don't know how well that's showing up on your screen. But there's something in there. Then, of course, we can put our under metal. So I'll just call this gray metal. Put a black mask, put a generator, put a metal edge wear. Invert. Tone it way down. Okay. There we go. Subtle. Don't want to go crazy with it. And I think I'm okay with that. Now, my magazine release, actually, I might want to add in with the other with the bolt release group here. So click on the mask, click on that, and now we should be good. I may just come in here and paint all of this out because that just seems a little excessive. Okay, and I missed the middle here. Okay. There we go. All right. We're making headway here. Okay. Trigger. Do I want to just put, let's see. I want to put the gray metal on that one. Let's put it in the dust cover group maybe. Let's see. So let's select that. I don't know. Not sure how I feel about that one. So if I come in here and put a paint layer on it, just paint some of this metal edge wear away. Yeah, that's good. Save. Okay, so things are looking pretty good, I think. Let's let it finish saving here. This might be a good place to call this video. Oh, you know what? While I'm here, now that I've made this black, this dirt is just really insane. So let's go here and let's get our wait a minute. Let's look at what we got here. Paint layer. There we go. And let's enlarge this brush. I'm gonna drop my flow way down and hit X and just punch this down a little bit. I like how it's gotten into those details there. That's really nice. So I don't want to kill all that. That's actually pretty nice. Let's go back a bit. I'm really gonna drop my flow way down. There we go. That way it's not just decimating everything. Okay. There we go. Okay, so it's been in the dirt. It's been used. And I want to get back here. Yep. This is insane. Okay. So something like that. And eventually I'm probably going to do a little bit of that dirt pass on most of this stuff, but I probably don't want it that crazy. Okay, so yeah, things are looking pretty good. So what I actually got to go through and do is figure out all my decals, what I want to put on, because I know there's some text that goes on here. Things like the rifle, usually they put the logo and the serial number right there, and maybe some other text over here. Got to figure all that stuff out. Little marks that they have on here for whatever reason. The pistol grip is actually supposed to have actually supposed to open here, because that's how you attach it. You open this and the screws in there. You use a long screwdriver to unscrew it so you can remove it. So I might just draw in, fake it. It looks like there is just a closed cap there. The stock itself, from the images I've seen, there's little things of text on there. So I got to figure all that stuff out. And then once we have all that in, then we can add our dirt pass over the top. The flashlights got logos and stuff on it as well. The safety selector says safe over here and fire over here. And then if it's a fully automatic one, it would have, I don't know, auto or something here. So I'm going to have to do that. And there's just some other details on the stock that I didn't want to model in, so I'm going to texture those in. Same thing here with the sight. It's I believe there's some text in places. Definitely, like I said before, there's numbers on that band right there, right here, because this knob here is for the intensity. So there's intensity numbers on here. So I got to put all that stuff in there. So basically anywhere where there's stuff, the rails have numbers in them. They call them T marks, I think. Designed so that like for example, our sight here, it's been put on a specific position. And by knowing those T numbers, that you know where to put it back so that the rifle stays zeroed correctly. So these are marked, so we gotta get in there and do some of those as well. Okay, so it's quite a bit left to do here, but we're getting there. We're making good progress here. And then also the bulk area group's got markings on it that I want to put on there. So we'll start on that next video. I just need to look up all this stuff and figure out what I'm going to do. So and some of those I might have to make in Photoshop. Substance has got issues with making fonts. You get a very limited. So let me show you here. So under alphas, if you type in font, any of these with font on the front, you could actually change the text, but you can see there's only a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's only 7. Wait, no, I take that back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there's only 13 different fonts you can use. So you can actually change the word or the wording, but these are you're only limited to these fonts, which is really strange to me, because everything else you can use whatever fonts you have on your system to do whatever you want. So for like Photoshop, ZBrush, whatever it is. And then you have these, which are just text. It says text. This is just text as it is. You can't change what it says. If you need the word pressure, well, it's there for you in this specific font, and that's all you get. So I'm kind of disappointed by that. Not sure why that's like that. Why they don't just give you a proper font tool so you can type whatever you want in whatever font you want. But unfortunately, you're limited to these fonts right here. So you got to make do. And if you want anything else, you're going to have to make it in like Photoshop or something and then bring it in as an alpha. So, yeah, so I'm going to have to probably make some of those in Photoshop before I bring them in here for the next video. So until then, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.